2, 1. All right. You know what it is? You know who it is? We're back. Episode 3, the Fight Cast. We got Jake and myself. We're going to be reviewing this past weekend's fights. We had 4 for 4. I'm pretty sure it was a 5th fight, but I can't remember which one it was. But 4 for 4. We called. Well, Jake called the 3 boxing matches. I called the UFC fight. What'd you think overall of the weekend, and what'd you think of the fights overall? I thought they were really cool. It was the first time I got to see the guy you were talking about, Inoyue fight. He was filthy. The Tank and Cruz fight was good. Hall versus Silva was lackluster, but we'll talk about it. But anyways, what were your thoughts?
It was pretty much what I expected in all of them. Even though the Inoue fight was pretty much Inoue just dominating for the 5 rounds. It was exciting just because of the way that Inoue fights.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like from the opening bell, man, like just the way he moves, like he moves his feet with explosiveness. So it just looks, it's visually, it's aesthetically pleasing. Like to a casual fan, you look at it and it just looks like this guy's about to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? So even though Maloney didn't really do anything, it was an exciting fight to watch.
I was laughing the whole time because Timothy Bradley was like, oh, I'm not sold on this Inoue guy, and like from the beginning, and I was like, I was just thinking of it. I was like, he literally has no idea what he's talking about.
That schmuck said that it was a 50-50 fight going in. the pre-fight, he was like, yeah, 50-50 fight, man. It's like, dude, what are you watching?
And then he talked about after, he was like at the end of the fight, he's like, I'm sold. He's like, he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen live. And I was just at the beginning, I was like, I don't know what you were talking about at the beginning, but this fight wasn't even fucking close.
Bradley is not. He's not a good color commentator.
That's why he's on Top Rank and he's not on anything.
It's weird because like I mean, they do have a kind of a good mix on that panel there though, because Andre Ward is very articulate and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like when he starts talking about like a guy's like a certain skill that a guy's has, he knows how to break it down for a casual viewer. Yeah. Timothy Bradley just blah 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 blah.
Timothy Bradley was like, he had this one point he was talking about Inoue, and I forgot about this until you said that, but he's like, so you know, both the fighters, they got fast and slow twitch fibers, and Inoue he's got more fast twitch fibers. And it was just like, you literally have no idea what you're talking about. You're just saying shit. And then like I got what he was trying to say, but it was like the way he was saying it just sounded like an absolute moron. I just had no idea what he was talking about.
Listen, I mean, Timothy Bradley was a hell of a fighter to watch, but the dude should not be talking. It's like when they get like ex-football players to be commentators for football games.
Yeah.
And you could tell the dudes have just been like
mashed potato brain.
Beating the head too much because they start talking like, dude, what are you saying?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with Timothy Bradley. It's like, bro, he's not very good at speaking.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so that fight was exciting. The Usyk and Chisora fight, I only got to see the highlights, and I saw 2 full rounds, but it was what I expected. Usyk just boxed the shit out of him for 12 rounds. Tank and Santa Cruz, the 6 rounds that it went, or the 5.5 or whatever it was, or almost full 6 rounds. Because he knocked him out with like,
I think it was in the 6th. Yeah.
This is what I expected. Tank got hit a lot more than I've ever seen him get hit.
Yeah.
And that's just because Santa Cruz is a volume puncher.
He throws so many punches.
Taller and longer. He was able to get to him. And Tank with his rock back and his pull counter that he was trying couldn't always get out of the way because of the range of Santa Cruz. So he got hit a lot. But and Santa Cruz showed he had the reason I thought it would go 12 is because Santa Cruz does have a good chin. Yeah. Because
he cut clean.
He took some heavy shots, but that one he got caught because he threw that straight right 3 times in a row, and he caught him the first time. Tank's head, snapped back.
Hmm.
The second time he caught him, like it brushed him up like the side of the cheek, and the third one he threw in a row. And again, he threw these 3 punches in a row. Tank slipped and came underneath the two and just caught him with that just killer
His head was
uppercut.
like boom, and he just
Yeah,
dropped.
man, and put him to sleep. So again, exciting fight up to that point. I like Tank's strength is obviously his power punching, but his counter punching, and I mean that's how he ended the fight with a perfect counter punch.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna break
I
down those
enjoyed what I
fights
saw.
a little bit more because I think there was a lot of good in both of them. There's a lot of cool stuff to see. Um, reviewing the Hall versus Silva fight, that fight we'll get over that quick because that was a boring fight. But um, they both were first round was terrible. I think they both threw. I think they threw 12 punches within the first 2 rounds of Hall
Combined.
versus Silva. Oh,
Combined?
the UFC.
Yeah, but I'm saying combined to get
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. No, each,
12
each.
punches?
I think
Oh,
each. Um, but that's still really low. And Silva was just he's just an old. He's just old. He shouldn't have been there because like Hall was. He's just like more physically imposing, and he's just a better version right now. Maybe not overall, obviously, but like just right now. And Silva got touched up towards the end. Like it was just like they didn't throw a lot of punches, and early on it lasted. I think it was 4 rounds, but it only lasted 4 rounds because Hall didn't do anything for the first three, and Silva didn't really do anything for the first three. But like as soon as Hall got tired, as soon as Hall turned it on and like caught Silva clean, he dropped him twice, and then it was just over. Silva shouldn't have been in there, and Dana White said that too. There was a couple press conferences post fight, and Dana was like, "I shouldn't have let him go out there because if he was against somebody who was like a volume puncher, he would have been fucked. He would have been dead. Like he just wasn't a um, and that was one of the things that I predicted was that like Uriah Hall is not a he's not a bad fighter at all, and he's had some really good wins. And they're both stand up. They're not like ground and pound type guys, so they're not going to go down. So it's all just about who can hit who. And Hall's a really good puncher, and they both had really high um, like connection rates. So like when they throw punches, they land them. And again, they both are kind of like uh, what do you call it? Hall's more of like a power puncher, but like they're both like accurate punchers. And when he started to land, he landed, and it didn't take long for him to just like drop Silva, and that was it. Like he hit him in the third round. I think he dropped him like right before the end of the third round. And the fourth round, he just came out, hit him, dropped him, and just beat his face in, and that was it. It was a bad send off for Silva, I'd say, because that was supposedly his last fight. He's got one more fight on his contract, but like Dana doesn't want him to fight, so he was like, "I'm not going to let him fight." So if he wants to fight somewhere else, that's up to him. But he should never fight again. Um, he's 40. I think he's 45. I thought he was like 42. He's 45 fighting in the UFC. Like that's crazy. And like trying to take that punishment from someone like Hall is just not it's not feasible for a very long time. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just a boring fight overall. It wasn't really anything great. There were some good fights in the beginning, but other than that, it was not. It was on and then turned off to go to Inoue. But that Inoue fight, he is special. He's a special fighter. He's got fast twitch muscle fibers. He uses them better.
just
But he's
ask just ask Timothy Bradley. He'll
yeah.
tell you.
But right from the beginning, I was expecting like you told me he was good, and like I got kind of confused a little bit because I was listening because I'd never seen the other guy fight, and I'd never seen Inoue fight. And then I heard Bradley say like he said it a couple times like, "Oh, this could go either way." Like Maloney's got some skills here, and like early on, Inoue was in. They pointed out that Inoue doesn't move his head well, and that he gets kind of lazy at times with it. And he got hit like once or twice, but then like after that, it was just done. Like it was just literally like he just took over. He would just
Speed and
literally,
power. He just overwhelmed him. Yeah.
and it was just like and then as soon as he started finding it and he started like connecting with Maloney a little bit more, Maloney got like backed up. Then he got fucking shelled the first time. I think he got dropped twice. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time he got fucking destroyed, and then the second time was just that beautiful, just right to the square of the face. He just drilled him, and
Yeah.
it was just
and both counter punches too. Like
Yeah.
the first one was a check hook. He caught. So Inoue was a check hook is you throw the hook while you're pivoting away, so it's basically like a defensive punch,
Hmm.
right? He's punching and moving away. So Maloney threw his punch and he caught him, like backing up a little, and that was more about like obviously you could tell he's got the power, but that was again it was more about the timing. Like he
Yeah.
caught him when Maloney was exposed because he had just thrown a punch. The second one was a counter punch too, man, but it wasn't even like. So what he did was the pull counter, right? Like Maloney was throwing his shot, and he was pulling back to pull all the way away from it. So normally you'll let the punch come all the way in, you'll pull all the way back, and then come back as they're retracting their hand, right?
Hmm.
But the way that he did it, he caught him like it was like a little fraction of the pull counter. He like the punch started to come out, and as it came out, he like pulled back slightly, like a little twitch back, and came as the punch was still coming out.
Well, I think he just saw
Again,
it.
it was a timing thing. Like as he was coming in, the force of his own face coming in with his own punch, he got caught on the way in. So it was like a car accident, right? Two cars coming at each other.
And I think like
Beautiful.
he did. What were you gonna say?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful counter, beautiful.
Yeah,
punch.
and I was gonna say like every time it seemed like he had an answer for literally every single punch that Maloney was throwing. Like every time Maloney threw something, he had something right back. And like I think he just saw him really well, and he was just answering every single punch he threw and every attack he had. He was just there to answer it. He had some type of response to it, and he was always hitting him. He was always hit, no matter what. He always found the hole to hit him, or at least threw something that like messed up his like his punches or just his like his base, and just he just took it to town after that, and he just like erased like whatever advantage Maloney may have had if there was one. But like soon as he started,
Very accurate.
yeah,
Very accurate. Like his everything that he threw landed on target.
yeah, and like he was one, and like I said, in a way, it looks like a just overall like a really solid like all around fighter. Like, and he doesn't, he's got power that you don't usually see at that. Well, you do, but like at that weight class, and then like he's got speed. He moves well. Obviously, he's probably got to work on his head movement a little bit because he wasn't getting hit hard, but like he was getting touched a little bit. And
He was
like the
getting
second,
he shouldn't have been.
yeah,
Hit.
and like this guy, obviously Maloney's not probably a bad fighter, but like he was, this is something. This is like a build up fight. I'm assuming. Who else is in his division that like would be like a next fight?
I think he would have to move up to like 126, because I don't know. I don't know. I think Inoue has two of the belts at that division, or maybe he's got three. Yeah, oh yeah, he's got three because he's okay. So he said that's right. He said after the fight that he wants to go get the fourth, and then he was going to look to move up. So I think going to 126 is probably the best thing for him to do because he's got the power to carry him up to that next weight. But then you got guys again. Like Leo Santa Cruz is a natural 126er. Right? I mean, Santa Cruz was talking about maybe retiring after, but I mean that would be something. Like Santa Cruz goes back down to his natural. Hey, Lomachenko. Lomachenko is a natural 126er.
Yeah,
I imagine that in a way in Lomachenko. That would be sick. But again, I don't know that Lomachenko wants to go. But I think Lomachenko wants those belts back at 135. But I think the best thing for Inoue to do would be to go up because he definitely has the power to carry him up a couple divisions. Because to be honest with you, I don't really know a lot of the names at 120. To be honest with you, I know that dude. Chocolatito is at 120, I think. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, not sure. 126.
Yeah.
But next for Tank would be Lopez, right?
I mean, it should be, but Mayweather said that he wants him to have one more fight at 135 and then fight Tio. And I think that's one of the best fights in boxing, period, at any weight that could be made is Tank and Tio.
Yeah.
right just right here, right now. First reaction is that I think Tio wins that fight. Um, but I think that's the fight to make, man. That would be a really exciting fight.
That would be, I mean, those are gonna those are like the those are the fights we want to see. So hopefully they can come
I know
about making one
Ryan
of those.
Garcia was calling out Tank, but it's like Ryan Garcia is good.
Yeah.
He's got fast hands. He's got some power, but Ryan Garcia is one of those dudes like, and I'm sure working with Canelo and having Reynoso as his trainer now, just going to get better. But what I've seen up to this point, he wouldn't last in a fight with Tank
Yeah.
because he gets hit too much.
Yeah.
And I don't know how his chin is because he's fought bums up to this point.
Yeah.
But he's not taking Tank's punches like he's taking other guys' punches. So I don't know who they would have Tank fight in between the TO fight. Because again, like I said, I don't think that they'd go for Ryan Garcia. I don't think that's a.
Do you think they do a Lomachenko rematch? No.
Huh?
A Lomachenko rematch
Who? But
with Lopez?
well, they said they don't want it.
Do
So
they?
yeah, I mean, again, like I said this last week. I think that for Tio, he's gonna probably wait for that Tank fight, then move up to 140.
Mhm.
Then those 135 belts will be vacated, and that Lomachenko will come back and probably fight one or two fights, and then fight for those vacated belts at 130.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that, looking forward at that, that's exciting. But like just looking at in general, I didn't know that Leo Santa Cruz said he might retire, but I mean, we were talking about that last week too, is he's like just an overall good fighter. So that's, this was like a really good match overall. I think that it was a lot better than like the knockout says, because I think that Cruz was having his moments there too, and he was throwing a lot of punches, and he was like you said, he was hitting him a lot too. I think that if it went 12 rounds, it would have been interesting because I think that I don't know Davis's conditioning that well, and I'm sure it's great, like it's better, but like Santa Cruz is kind of like known for that endurance and just like being able to throw those punches. So it would have been nice to see a
Yeah.
12-round fight and see if like the volume would have caught up to Davis or if he caught him slipping a couple times. But that right hand was
Honestly, I think it would have went the way that I thought it would go when I predicted it, that it would have been a decision for Tank, because I think he would have countered him enough with enough significant punches that he would have won the fight off of that. Because the problem with volume punchers is that a large percentage of those punches that they're landing don't do shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of touching up, and then bang, bang, and a couple power shots. Touch up. You know what I mean? Whereas Tank, most of his shots, he's countering and it's wham, 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 like really solid power, significant shots. So I just think like over time, it probably would have looked like that. You know what I mean?
They would have caught him.
I think the fight was close up to that point, but you could see some of the heavy shots that Davis was landing off of those counters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had it back and forth.
He had a little mouse over his eye again. He got caught with a lot of punches, but I don't think any of them were really significant. You know what I mean? I don't think they were.
No, definitely. And like, especially for someone like that, this is probably like a really good confidence booster for Davis, because not that he, like we talked about this last week, he hasn't not fought anybody. Like he's definitely fought some good people, but like this is one of those people that's like, all right, like this is a good test. This was kind of like a step in the right direction for being like, all right, like if he didn't have the confidence before, which I'm sure he did because he's got the people in his corner, but like just kind of standing up to a guy like Santa Cruz, who again isn't a, he's a good fighter, and being able to take him out like that, like in that type of fashion, is definitely, because that's all I read most of the time, or most of the fight after was like no one was expecting him to get dropped like that. Like that wasn't supposed to be how the fight was. It was more of like a longer, like, like you said, Santa Cruz is going to throw a lot of punches. Davis was going to try to counter him basically the entire fight. And then, a 12-round decision was where a lot of people were headed. But yeah, it was a good fight overall. And I think that boxing had a good night because I think that they get more things like that. It's obviously gonna, they've been doing well, and like they need to get more of those types of like big ticket bouts and where they can have, I don't even know the last time I was like, besides like the Wilder Fury fight, and obviously some fights in between, but like this was something that like I was actually excited to like watch and like hear about, and like it was a good fight too. And a lot of times the fights like, like UFC's been having some fights too where it's like, those are really exciting, and then they're just kind of like bleh. They're just like not great fights or not great matchups, but the matchup's been really good in boxing. So this Usyk character, I've never heard of him either before you talked about him last week. You watched that fight, right?
No, I didn't get to see it because it was
Oh, you
on.
didn't? Okay.
No, yeah.
What weight
So
division is he in?
he's heavyweight.
Okay.
He's a natural cruiserweight though. But he was just destroying everyone at 180, so he moved up, and I think Saturday was only, I want to say, his third fight maybe at heavyweight.
Okay.
And now they're talking about him in line to fight for one of these belts at heavyweight. So Joshua Fury, somebody.
Cool.
So that'd be awesome. I mean, Usyk he's a unique guy, man. The guy, again, it's like Fury, a guy that big that moves like that. Like it's a very interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
And he's a smart, really smart boxer. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, and like going against somebody like Fury would be a cool fight, or Joshua, or I don't know what the hell Wilder's doing because he's been yapping about again this weekend about the whole. Did you see the video?
That? Yeah. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, he's
so this dude
pulling out all the excuses.
This dude is out of his mind. I did like that. I mean, that dude is lost. Like he's off his rocker.
I mean, like, I really think he had
a dent in his skull.
Yeah.
The shape of an egg weight. Like, bro, what are you talking about?
Like I said,
he's talking about like, oh, he was cheating. Like, first of all right, look at. So I don't know if you've seen like all these conspiracy theory videos that have been put up about
the only thing that's I've seen that has led me to believe anything, and it hasn't really. I thought that he was saying Fury didn't have his glove on all the way, and that he was making like a fist on the side, so he was hitting a little bit more clean instead of having like the padding. That was the only thing I saw that I was like, oh, that might be true. But other than that, like they check the gloves, they check everything beforehand. So to say that he has like some object in there or whatever he was talking about, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So again, like for these idiots that were actually spending a lot of time editing and making these YouTube conspiracy theory videos where they freeze frame it and they show like Fury's glove is like off to the side like this, and they're like, yeah, look, his fist is at the bottom of the glove. One, even in those pictures that they show on those gloves, because they're laced up, in the palm you could see in between the laces, and you can see the tape that is around his wrist, right? And if you've ever watched Tyson Fury fight before at all, you know that he doesn't throw these solid shots every shot. Sometimes he'll touch you up, right? So he does what we call pawing, right? Like he'll paw some of his shots and then come with something fierce. So all of the freeze frames they got were shots of Fury doing that pawing, paw, and then he'll come with something straight. So they're catching him in the middle of him like palming him. Yeah. Like they're almost like these slaps, right? And a lot of fighters do it. A lot of fighters that that are quick and like boxers, a lot of them do that where they'll paw just to touch a guy up to get him to move his hands or to set up other shots. A lot of guys do this. He's not the only one. And so there's that. Like you could see where the tape was. So you couldn't see a knuckle in the laces. And that'd be idiotic. Like then like they showed that any of the other shots that he's throwing that miss, if his fist was at the bottom of the glove and he throws a shot and misses, that glove is going to start sliding and flipping all over the place, right? If his fist is here and the glove is up here, it's going to bounce, it's going to float around because there's nothing in the glove, right? Then Wilder's saying, oh, he's got an egg weight. All right, so I guess he was saying he was holding an egg weight in his fist.
I think he was saying that, or I couldn't understand what he was saying. Like I couldn't picture what he was saying. I thought he was saying he was either holding something like this, or he had something at the top.
Yeah.
And like they said, they're like that. Like the guy who came out at the end was like, that's not. He's like, that's not realistic. Like we check everything before you go out there, and like even if he did, like I don't even understand how you would do that. But like go ahead. But like,
well, that's another thing. So again, like any way that doesn't work with what they were talking about with the gloves, like falling over to the side and stuff. Because again, like even if he had it, like say he had an egg weight taped in to his knuckles, right? Taped over his knuckles, or he was holding it. Either way, that means the glove is empty. And every time he missed a shot, the glove would wave all over the place, right? It means that he would never be able to land a solid straight shot without the glove like falling all over the place.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't even know how you would keep the glove on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So none of that makes sense to me. So he was saying he had a dent in his skull. And I saw someone like on Instagram or something, you know, they were making a joke and they were like, I don't know how even he could have a dent in his skull unless his skull is made of aluminum. Because I mean, you have a dent in your skull, man. That means that you have brain damage. Like,
yeah. Go ahead.
Showing he had a dent there. It's like, bro, that's not how bones work.
Yeah.
Bones don't form like that. Like if it gets pushed into a certain point, it's breaking.
Yeah.
And then your bones poking into your brain. Like that's how it works.
Maybe he's talking about his temple and he thinks that's a dent.
Yeah.
He just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like everything that he was talking about, and then he's talking about you know, he's like doing all these, you know, Bible verses and talking about a thief and stuff. It's like, dude, what are you like? The guy's lost his fucking mind.
Well, I think I was gonna say, and we talked about this last week. He came up fighting just people who, you know, weren't great, and he's
to say in old school boxing, tomato
what was
cans.
it?
That's what they used to call them in the old school boxers. They say he's fighting tomato cans.
Yeah. So like you're fighting against tomato cans, and you proclaim yourself as like the next, you know, Mike Tyson, Ali, heavyweight, whatever you want to call yourself. And then you actually come up against real talent. And then he pulled out every fucking excuse in the book. And like the first time, you know, he should have lost the first fight. It shouldn't have been a draw. Like the only thing that kept him in that fight was a knockdown. If he didn't have the knockdown, he would have lost. And then the second fight, which I went back and watched again the other day after we talked about it, he was getting mauled. Like it was literally just the entire fight. Yeah. Like, and then like
Fury gave him a boxing lesson.
And then like he said I think it was the first fight, right? He said his costume was too heavy and it tired his legs out. That was the second fight. That was the second fight, yeah. So first off, he said the costume was too heavy and it tired his legs out. Then he said that Fury had his hand down the glove, and then he said he was holding an egg weight, and then he said he had the dent in his.
And did you see he also said that the trainer that he fired spiked his water with muscle relaxer? Like, no, this dude is out of his fucking mind, man.
Well, I think
someone needs to check on him. He's out of his mind.
It could be like a very in all seriousness, it could be like a case of just like delusion after like something like this happens, or just like almost like a PTSD type thing where he's just kind of like going crazy.
You up telling you're the best, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you could hit hard, no doubt. But I mean, you can't box.
Yeah.
And you're in boxing.
And like his, you know, they showed what led me to watch the fight again was us talking about it. And then I saw a video the day of when he came. Well, when did he come out with that? It was like a few days ago, right? Where he said that Wilder. Yeah. There was a video of when his trainer threw the towel into the fight. And he was like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, why'd you do that? He was like stumbling all over the place, saying like, "Oh, why'd you do that?"
When he threw in the towel and he came to the corner, he was like, "Why'd you do that?" Mm-hmm. You see that his trainer telling him, "You got blood coming out of your ear."
Yeah,
Like, we got to say, you got blood coming out of you. You're gonna die, stupid. You know what I mean? He's an idiot.
And like I think at that
Like
point,
he thought in his dumb head that he had a chance to win that fight.
yeah, I don't know.
Is that what he's trying to tell himself?
Well, I think at that point you tell yourself if you just get that one punch that you could still win, but it was just one of those where it just didn't. I don't think it
You're
mattered.
gonna throw one,
Yeah,
and at that point, you were just getting beat all from corner to corner to corner. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I've
yeah,
never heard like I've never heard a fighter. I mean, I haven't. Maybe you have, but like a fighter that's thrown that many excuses after a loss like that. Like in that his level, like at his level of like being.
I mean, look, I've seen guys be delusional, right? Like they're so confident that even when they lose, clearly, like Adrian Broner,
Yeah.
like when he lost to Pacquiao and came out and he's like, "Man, the Hood knows I won that fight." It's like, nah, bro. Even like the Hood is like, "Come on, bro." So
He's
like I've seen guys like
been delusional since he lost his first fight.
yeah. So I mean, I've seen guys be delusional, but this stuff, this is something like this is another level. Like I think again, like maybe he's losing his mind. Like or maybe he's still got people in his team still telling him like, dude, there's no, it's unfair. Like there's no way that you should have lost that fight. Like something else had to be present. Like it could be that. It could be people keep pumping him up. Like, no, man,
Yeah, yes man in your corner.
beat you. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think with something like that,
It's nutty, crazy talk.
yeah, and I think with something like that, you have to eventually, because you don't know who to believe in those scenarios because I don't have the information and like I'm just reading it. But like there was also the talk about the rematch and how I think that's what he was saying about the Bible verses. He was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, be a man of your word. Like, give me the rematch. Like, give me, like I gave you the rematch when I didn't have to, or something like that. When he like it was a draw, so he kind of had to. Like, there wasn't really a choice there.
He
And
didn't
then,
win.
yeah, and then I heard that Fury like tried to offer them the rematch and they didn't respond, and then like it got pushed back because of the virus, and then the rematch clause like expired, so they decided to move on. And then I think he's just realizing that like like if he doesn't get that fight, I don't think he's gonna get anything else. Like I don't know what else there is for him, like that people are gonna watch.
Again, unless like the only other big thing for him is the Joshua fight, which they were talking like that was a huge thing when both Joshua and Wilder were undefeated. It died down a little bit when Joshua lost to
Yeah,
Ruiz. But now it's like now Joshua is on a path to fight Fury. So Fury just I think they just got the fight agreed upon. He's gonna fight. I don't even know the dude.
Fury or Wilder?
Yeah, Fury's gonna fight some
Or,
dude in December. Joshua's gonna fight the Russian dude in December, and then they both win those fights. Joshua and Fury are supposed to fight in the spring.
cool.
So I don't know where that leaves Wilder, except for waiting out whatever happens between those. And then maybe because he's still kind of got a name, maybe he can get in with the winner of Fury Joshua.
Yeah.
But either way, I think he loses. Because one, I think Fury wins the Joshua fight. Because I just think he's too good of a boxer. And he has way too much size and range and IQ. But say Joshua does get that punch in there, knocks Fury out, wins. I think Joshua is he's 100 times better than Wilder is as a boxer.
I always thought that.
I don't think it's up for Wilder either way.
Well, like I think what happened here is, I seriously think this what it might have happened was Wilder realized like he's getting like the scraps now, and he's trying to. I mean, the only thing you can really do there is try to like reclaim your spot and try to beat Fury again, or if he thinks he has a better idea. But I mean, a third like after seeing a third fight, and I agree. I think Fury's a better fighter than Joshua, but I think Joshua's got like kind of like that athleticism that like Fury doesn't have, so that could help him. Um, but like I think it's like Fury, Joshua, and then like Wilder. So then it comes down to the fact of like who wins that fight, and then it's like all right, maybe he can get, but that's like 2 or 3 fights, so he's gonna have to go out there and fight somebody else, because he's not gonna.
And like we were talking about Usyk earlier. Usyk is in line now for one of these belts.
And I guarantee you, Wilder's gonna be like that piece. Like he's gonna be that.
But so we got it. So Wilder may not even be his. So after Joshua and Fury fight, either of them might immediately go for a fight with Usyk.
I could see it. Well, I could see a scenario, and like,
but so say even if the Usyk camp gives Wilder a chance, like okay, since we're waiting out Fury Joshua, and we want something big in the meantime, say Wilder gets a fight with Usyk, he loses that fight too.
That's what I mean.
Like Usyk moves his head, he moves too well to get hit with any of those looping long ass punches that Wilder. So I don't see a scenario in which Wilder gets back into the heavyweight championship talk. I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't think he has it at this point.
Well, I think what's going to happen now, like I said, Wilder's realizing this. He's going to become like that. Like he's going to turn into that boxer that people end up using to get to their next step. Like I don't know a good name, but like like in the heavyweight division right now, he's a name still. People know him. He's an American, so like people are going to support him. So like he is going to be like the Wilder versus Usyk, and then Joshua versus Fury, knowing damn well he doesn't stand a chance versus any of those three, and it's going to be like the big fight to make some money, and then get to that next step, and then it's going to be like scraps from there. It's going to be like, all right, who lost between Fury and Tyson, or Fury and Joshua, and then who fought or lost between winner of Fury and Joshua, and then Usyk. And then it's going to be whoever lost that's going to fight Wilder, or Wilder slips in there somehow. But like you said, I think if he fights, he's at the point now where I could easily see what is his record? He's something in one. Hold on.
Yeah, 49-1. 49-1-1.
40, 42-1 and 1. 42-1-1. I think. Let me check. Yeah, he's got 44 fights, 42 wins.
1.
He lost and then his tie. So he could easily go from 42-1-1 to 42-4-1 his next 4 fights, and not even like that would be a massive drop off too. Like that would be. I mean, maybe it's a drop off, like a massive drop off, but I think everybody saw it. But that would be huge.
Another scenario though that they could go to try to build Wilder back up is have him fight some of these young heavyweights that are these heavy hitters like Daniel Dubois or that Nigerian dude F.A. Ajagba or whatever his name is. Because they're both undefeated, got a ton of knockouts, right? I think Daniel Dubois, I think all of his wins are from by knockout. But so maybe get Wilder in there with one of those young guys to sort of like say, oh, look, okay, he's still up there. He knocked out this up and coming young guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, do these young guys want to risk a loss at this point? Because their undefeated record in knockouts is what's going to get them in the conversation to fight for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I just don't see a scenario in which Wilder is ever going to be heavyweight champion again.
Yeah, I don't. And I think that, like I said, he's going to end up turning into like that. Where's that?
He lives in Alabama. Okay. The cost of living is really low there. I say he takes all the money that he's made, is smart, like starts a business and lives his life out in Alabama. Because the boxing thing ain't for him. You know what I mean? Maybe open a gym. You know what I mean? The Bronze Bomber gym. You know what I mean? And maybe do something like that. But I don't think he's going to be champion again. I don't.
Yeah. I don't see it either. And like I said, I had a tough time seeing it before. Like I said, I don't think he fought anybody that was real.
Yeah. I mean, there were belts just like hanging up in like.
That's how boxing is. There's just belts for every day.
Fight this bum and you get this belt. And that's how he became champion.
Yeah.
He didn't really fight anyone. Yeah. Again, his toughest test before Fury was Luis Ortiz. And he beat him twice, but those were tough fights for him. And I mean, before that, it was nothing. Nobody. He fought no one.
Yep.
So
And like I think we'll see what happens moving forward, but I think he ends up turning into a pawn piece. He's used to make some better stuff. I'm trying like I can't think of like a Broner is like that type of person. Like I almost see them in the same light, where like Broner was big, and then he fell off when he started getting in his own head and not listening to anybody and thinking he was already like a Floyd Mayweather, and he wasn't. He lost to Maidana, and then he lost to
he lost to Ricky Garcia. He
yeah,
lost to Jesse Vargas.
yep,
And he lost to Pacquiao.
yep, and like he was still that name that was still like recognizable as like, oh, Broner, like he still got the he could win, like they very easily could win, but
Yeah.
damn well he's not going to win. Like he does the same thing every fight. He stands there like this, he throws one or two punches and he backs up and he goes like this again, and like like that could be Wilder's new position in boxing, could be just he's got a name, he's good enough, there's a he could win factor. Let's just put him in the fight and see what happens from there. Then he loses 4 or 5 in a row, and then he's out of boxing. It's just like nobody wants to fight him anymore. Like I don't know if Broner's ever going to fight again. I think he's arrested or he's in jail.
They're having a comeback. So.
He what?
But the big difference between Broner and Wilder is that Broner he has boxing talent.
Yeah.
It's just with him, it's I don't know, attitudes, emotional, like whatever issue you got, it's not a boxing problem. Like that box, he can fight.
No, he's good, and like that's what
not box.
When he started losing, that was one of the When he started losing, it was one of the most like frustrating and weird things I ever seen, because like he is one of those dudes that has so much skill and so much potential, and like he just doesn't, like it's almost like he doesn't want to move, like he doesn't want to take the risk of getting hit. And like
I think that he was a little maybe damaged by the Maidana fight, like,
but it seemed like before that, it seemed like as he was getting into that fight, like, and that was the first time I kind of saw it, was when he got into that Maidana fight. He was really just like he doesn't throw punches, like he only throws like a couple, and then like only when he got pressed is when he was throwing punches. Like other than that, he's just standing there like he already won the fight.
Yeah, so like again, like the Maidana fight or after that was the first time I started to see him be a little hesitant.
Yeah.
He's always been a really great counter puncher. Mm-hmm. But after the Maidana fight, it's when I started seeing him just wait for the counter.
Yep.
Like, he wasn't like he used to be an offensive fighter. Like, he would go at dudes and overwhelm them with speed and skill and power. And after Maidana, it was like he was waiting, like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and counter and counter and counter. And he thought that was going to get him victories. And it sucks because, again, like against a guy like Mikey Garcia, I think Mikey Garcia is a smart enough boxer to win that fight against Old Broner.
Yeah.
But it would have been a much more interesting fight if the Old Broner, who attacked more, was there instead of the guy that we saw just sitting back, eating a bunch of punches and then countering every now and then.
Well, and I think because I think Mikey Garcia is a good fighter, but like I don't, like you just said, like I think
he's unreal.
Yeah, but like
if he didn't move up to fight Errol Spence.
Yeah, yep. And then I haven't. What about Keith Thurman? What happened with him? Is he like? I know he fought Danny Garcia, and then like he kind of like fell off from there or something like that. Like, didn't he get knocked out?
Well, he lost to Pacquiao.
Oh, Pacquiao. Okay, that's who he fought. Yeah. I always liked him, but then like he just kind of
like, is good, but he's one of these guys that isn't like, he's not the most technical boxer.
Yeah.
He relies on his athleticism, explosiveness, and he's got some power. But again, he's at welterweight, so it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Terrence Crawford. He owns that division.
Yeah. And
is Thurman fighting and beating Crawford? No. There's no universe that exists where that is a possibility. So I don't know. Like, again, there are other guys. Danny Garcia. I mean, look at Errol Spence. Keith Thurman wants to get in there. But Errol Spence has a fight coming up. But it's like those two guys. It's Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, and the rest of those guys, Danny Garcia, Thurman, Porter, all those guys that fight at that weight are just gonna fight each other for scraps, I guess, because it's
Yeah.
really, it comes down to Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. Those are the elite guys at that weight.
Yeah.
So yeah, Thurman is just I don't know, I guess he's just waiting around.
Yeah.
He'll fight someone soon, I'm assuming. I
Like
don't
I
know.
said, I always liked him, but he's what
Yeah.
do you say?
I don't know if he has anything scheduled coming up, but
I always liked him, and I haven't seen him fight in a while. I haven't seen anything of him lately. I know he got hurt and he was healing an injury,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I think his pride was hurt too. I mean,
Who?
Thurman, I think his pride was hurt.
Oh, that too. Yeah, yeah.
Pacquiao lit him up, and he was talking a lot of shit leading up to that fight about
Pacquiao's supposed to. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but he's supposed to fight Connor.
Yeah. I actually the last couple of days, I've been reading a little bit about Pacquiao versus Mikey Garcia being a possibility.
All right, that'd be a good
That
fight.
would be a really good fight.
Yeah.
That would be a good fight. Because who wants to see beat the fucking shit out of Conor McGregor? Like, I don't want to see that. Like, even at this age, like, if you're in a boxing ring, I don't want to see Pacquiao. Because I mean, Pacquiao's not Mayweather. Pacquiao might, Pacquiao's a nice guy, but he'll hurt him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He will hurt him. And as much faith as I have in us Irish people and our thick Irish skulls and punch, I think Pacquiao will hurt him.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants that.
Do you think Floyd will come back anytime soon, or do you think he's actually done?
Listen, he's promoting. He's got his star fighter in Tank.
Yeah, Davis. Yeah.
Promoter. I think if Tank goes on to win some more fights and more belts and moves up and they sign more fighters, like it's either Mayweather, reaching the level of like Golden Boy Promotions. I think that's his future. He's already worth close to $1 billion.
Yeah.
And he's just going to continue to make money promoting fights. So I don't know why he would come back.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if there's like, because he retires and then at least the last few years he's been like, oh, I'm coming back, and then like he comes back and
again,
loses, and then
coming back for Conor was different. Like people were like, oh, he wants to be 50-0. I don't even think that was it. I was thinking like, oh, I can make another almost $300 million for beating the shit out of some dude that has no chance of beating me. Of course I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think that was a little unique situation. I don't, unless there's another $300 million fight for him to come back to, I don't see why he would.
Yeah. I don't know. And I think Conor had his time in the ring, so I mean, I always enjoy. I like Conor just as a fighter in general, so I love seeing whatever he wants to do, however he wants to fight. But I think he had his time in the ring. I don't think he should fight Pacquiao. I think he should just stick with what he's doing. Or one of the boxers should maybe take a chance and go into the UFC, but I don't think that'll work either. So.
No, I don't. Again, like I don't think crossing over on 6 months' notice is enough.
Yeah, it's not.
You know what I mean? You're not, a boxer isn't going to go in there and learn how to defend takedowns in 6 months well enough to last in there. And a guy from UFC is not going to go in there and learn how to use his hands well enough in 6 months to last with the fight. It's just not going to happen. So,
do you think if Conor
maybe we should plan now, right? Against some like really young guys, like in 5 years we're going to have this fight, and both of them are going to train. Like we'll have one fight in UFC and then one fight in the boxing ring. Both of them will have this 5 years to train, maybe. But this getting a fight, crossing over in 6 months, garbage.
Do you think it was more of a thing where Conor could have been better, or he just didn't?
I think Conor would be a fine boxer if that's what he did. I think it would be fine. Again, like now though, again, he's at like that around that welterweight. He'd probably fight at like 154. Mm-hmm. So even if he concentrate on boxing only, he'd have to fight guys like Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, and it just guys that have been boxing their entire lives, only boxing, aren't good enough to fuck with those guys. So I don't think it would work out for him either. I think he'd be fine though. Yeah. I think a lot of those guys that are that people see as good as standing up as strikers in the UFC would be fine if boxing was all they did.
Mhm.
They'd be fine. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Are there any fights to look forward to? There's a couple for UFC. There's I don't know what there is for boxing.
Yeah, well, the big one Saturday is Devin Haney and Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were fighting. All right.
The big fight because of names. Haney's up and coming. Gamboa is a former champion,
Yeah.
but Gamboa is about to be 39 years old, or he is 39, just turned 39, I think.
So is that looking like a Haney?
Haney's just gonna box the shit out of him for 12 rounds, and it's one of these fights where it's like, look, Haney's gonna fight a big name, so we can fight another big name after.
Mhm.
It's gonna be Haney decision. I think he might even shut him out. And I could see Haney taking a couple rounds off, like in the middle of the fight.
Mhm.
Maybe he gives away 2 or 3 rounds, but I think it's Haney in the landslide decision.
All right.
He's
Cool.
too good of a boxer, and he's too physical for a guy that's 39 years old, way past his prime. Gamboa did show his heart in the Tank Davis fight,
Mhm.
so he's not going anywhere. He'll be in there the whole 12 rounds, but he just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think
Is
that's
that on? I'm assuming that's not a pay per view.
the zone.
The Zone. Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out. I have to check out that stuff. If they're gonna have good fights like that.
Listen, it's actually worth it's $20 a month for the
Yeah.
zone. And if they show one good fight a month, usually a pay-per-view is like I paid $75 for the Tank
Yeah.
Davis. If you're only paying $20 a month, you're getting one fight a month. I mean, zone's actually worth it.
Do you have to pay extra for Canelo?
No.
Okay. So that I would say that's, and I think Ryan Garcia's on there too, right?
Yep.
Cool. I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah. UFC. We got this weekend. There's a cool fight. I don't know if that's a good fight. It's a cool fight. It's this guy Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. Teixeira is kind of like this veteran in UFC, and then Thiago Santos. Do you know? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I know those guys.
He's
Yeah.
got the big Thor hammer on his chest. I think he's gonna handily win that, but he's kind of like an up and coming dude. Glover Teixeira is just like a experienced fighter, just like a name. I think just kind of that same thing. Andre Arlovsky is fighting. I think he's gonna win. The weekend after that is that's we can talk about that then, but we got Khabib's like up and coming person, like his part of his camp. His name's Islam Makayev, and he's supposed to be like not the next Khabib, but just like Khabib's like under what do you call it?
Okay.
Apprentice type thing. He's fighting Rafael dos Anjos, and he should win that fight. And then 255 on November 21st is going to be some good fights. They got Valentina Shevchenko. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's filthy. She's like just one of these brawlers in the UFC for women, and she's just like killing people. Just like she's a champion right now, so she's gonna. I'm pretty sure she's a champion right now, or she's trying to. I think she is, but she's got Jennifer Maia. She's gonna win that fight probably handily, and then Devison Rado, I think is how you pronounce it, versus Alex Perez. Obviously, we can talk about that more, but some good fights for UFC. Most of them, the Thiago Santos versus Teixeira is on ESPN Plus, if you have that, or ESPN2 actually. It's UFC Apex, but also on ESPN Plus. And then the Islam Makayev, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, is also on UFC Fight Night with Dos Anjos. So those are going to be good fights. There's just some good like smaller fights coming up. The last fight of the year was supposed to be a lot better. So, and I'm pretty sure there might be one more in this year. I'm not sure if there is for UFC because they're supposed to be Usman was supposed to fight towards the end of the year, and I forgot he was supposed to fight, but for some reason he backed out and said he needed more time to get ready. So they canceled it. It was supposed to be in December, but I'm sure they're going to fill that with something. So there should be like a nice big fight towards the end of the year, and then ready for the next year. Just try to get some good fights going in the next year. Hopefully, there's some good boxing. Hopefully, and you said that Fury and Joshua are both supposed to fight in December.
Yeah, they're both fighting in December, and then they're supposed to fight each other in the spring if they both get past these guys, which I think both of them should.
All right, cool.
So November 2, in the next couple weeks, man, we'll get into it, but November 28th, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones
Oh
Jr.
yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah.
And Ryan Garcia is fighting in a couple weeks. Yeah, so we'll plenty to talk about in the coming weeks and to finish out the year. Bunch
I
of good.
forgot about Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
And there have been a lot of like boxing guys coming in like giving their predictions, and it's heavily in favor of Mike Tyson killing Roy Jones.
Well, that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of good on Tyson's side and not so much on Roy Jones.
Yeah, because their styles would have been, and again, we'll talk about this in the coming weeks, especially the week before. But their styles in their primes would have been interesting to see clash.
Yeah,
Their
because
style,
Roy Jones Jr. He was the famous for.
Mike Tyson's style ages well.
Yeah.
Roy Jones's style does not age well.
Yeah.
Roy Jones' style has always been predicated upon his athleticism, which is no longer there. Mike Tyson's style is based solely on
trying to kill someone.
Technique. Well, no, it's technique that will work, right? Yeah. It's not getting hit and using your body to throw land these power punches, and that ages well because you could do that when you're 60 years old. You can't be quick and jump in and out and move your head and leave your hands down when you're in your 50s.
Roy Jones was one of my favorite fighters on Fight Night.
Yeah.
He could just go just like this all day. Dodge everything.
Like honestly, in his prime, he was like a video game fighter. It was amazing, but it's not a good look when you're 51. Yeah. It's not, because I see him on the pads. And his trainer is pumping him up like, oh, look at this speed, and it's like, no, bro, you look like you're 50. It's not good. So
yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, plenty to talk about in the coming weeks. Some big fights. So
all right, cool. So yeah, we got this weekend. We got was there a boxing match this weekend? You said or no?
Yeah, Devin.
Oh, the Haney. Okay. Yep. So what's your prediction for that Haney?
Haney decision.
I'll go Haney. Yep. Just because Jake's saying Haney, but then I'm going to go Thiago Santos. I'm going to say should be a 5-round fight. So I'm going to say a 3rd round TKO of Glover Teixeira.
You know what? And I'm going to go ahead and give a prediction too, because I've seen Teixeira fight and he hasn't impressed me ever. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Santos. Yeah.
All right, cool. We got it. I was when I did my first jiu-jitsu tournament in March in Albany. It's called Naga, Naga. And he was there, and Glover Teixeira was there because I think he had some fighters. I think he has a gym up here, or somewhere close to where I am. But I was standing next to him, and I was like, he looks fucking familiar. I was like, where have I seen this dude before? And then like I saw the Teixeira on his name, and I was like, is that Glover Teixeira? And then like I looked it up, and I was like, fuck, that's Glover Teixeira. You fucking John Jones. Like that was pretty cool. But it was just cool to kind of like see him, and I was like, damn, he looks fucking familiar. He had a good gym. His fighters were good. All right, cool. So anything else? Anything for the rest of this for today?
No, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Fights this weekend.
All right, cool. So this weekend, if you have any predictions, let us know. We'll be back next week. We're gonna plan to talk about this Tyson stuff. I'm actually excited now because I forgot about that entire thing. So we're definitely talking about that.
I watch a bunch of old Tyson and Roy Jones now.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.